Post, or I'll be coming at you like a distant tsunami.
Wow, that was awesome. And now I'm introducing Rhett Butler from the film that we just watched, our feature film, Nefarious. Rhett's first interest in storytelling was a result of seeing a feature on the making of Star Wars when he was younger and drawing his own comic books of various genres. This combined with nighttime stories from his mother and books his father would later further influence his passion for making movies. Rhett is an engineering graduate from Florida State College in Jacksonville. He has a BSc in operations from the University of the West Indies in Jamaica and a Master of Science in insurance and risk management from Italy and supply chain from Humber College. What, none of that has anything to do with filmmaking. But now let's take a quick look at Rhett's trailer for Nefarious.
What am I doing, boy? I do. I go out, man. I go out. I go out for you. But you really want to fix up? I don't know what to do that Ross boy. You not send up with the money.
So she a pray still. You can say she like it still, you see. No, she not too dead punk here then.
To be honest, Natasha, I'm falling in love.
Yeah man, it's all work easy. Just drive around and collect this.
Hey, listen, I know about it, okay? Temperature.
Sure, dog.
Yeah man. Right now, in and out is it. Come in, bitch. Bring him out. I'm going to done him.
Run out Pantene with the 16 bomber. Wanna ball, jaja, and wanna call mama. Catch it on the wall, make it stammer. Make it bar, papa, 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 ma. Your head back, get hammer. Tell me, make me gal take a kill, take one, you. You know. You know.
Wow. So tonight we're going to get into a little bit with these two brilliant individuals about what inspired them. So I'm going to start with Rick. Rick, tell us, what was the inspiration behind the agency?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just trying to check it on, see if it's live on the Facebook
Yep,
page.
we're live and I can hear you.
I am. Where am I?
Rick with these two brilliant individuals about what inspired them. So I'm going to start with Rick. Rick, tell us, what was the inspiration behind the agency?
Okay. There we go. Got it. Hi. Okay. I had just finished a reality TV show, The Jolly Boys on the Road around the world. I don't know if you know the Little Mento band. They're all in the 70s. And I thought, right, I'd like to do another project. And having been involved in the music and film industry in Jamaica for 25 years, I thought, well, you know what would be really interesting to do a little kind of like an inside look into the Jamaican music industry. So first my first idea was to do it as a reality show inside the industry. And I contacted various people, but they didn't actually want to be seen doing what they do, right? Which is So, so I thought, right, okay, well, the way around this obviously is just to, take stories that I know and create the agency. So there it is.
That was the inspiration. Awesome. And so you told me earlier, just before we went live, that this was the pilot for a series. So what can we expect from the agency coming up?
Okay. Well, we have, now that the pilot's finished and it's out there, we have it to various people. We want to go into the big streaming, we want this to be, there is no Caribbean content as far as, dramatic, episodic drama in any of the streaming platforms, the Netflix and the Amazons and such and so forth. And so we are pitching this as being the Caribbean drama to hit the majors.
Okay, so we're looking forward to that. So I'm going to go over to Rhett now. And Rhett, I have feedback coming in from the audience. Angela D'Souza, Owen Banton saying Owen Banton is awesome in Nefarious, good acting and great presence too. So I'm guessing that's a kudos to you for your casting.
Thank you.
How was it casting this film?
Well, initially, I started out trying to get professional actors. That obviously did not work. So what I did, I went around with persons that I knew, and gave them a little bit, coaching in terms of acting and stuff. But a lot of them are just natural talent, and that's what exists, right across the Caribbean. Just natural talent. And all I had to do was, explain the character, give them the copy of the script, let them read, give them a screen test, let them see themselves, how they would actually look on screen, and the rest of it is just history. They just run with it, So I think only one person in the entire cast has any experience in professional acting. Wow. Everyone else is all amateurs, but they're professionals.
I mean, it was really good. Like some of the other feedback is saying this film is wicked, brilliantly written, brilliant movie. And so it seems that everyone really enjoyed it who was watching it, myself included, although there were some moments when I was like, what is going on right now? So let's ask you though, why was this a story that you wanted to tell?
Okay, so it goes back. I'll summarize it as fast as possible. I have a love for many different genres in film, but I really do like horror, thanks to my mother. And I really wanted my first film to be horror, something that I've not seen done locally. And Alan Tennant, who is he plays Andrew in the movie, and he was second unit behind the camera. I met him on a set for a documentary that we were trying to get done, and I said to him, I want to make a movie, and he said, sure, he wants to make one as well, but he wanted to make a traditional gangster film. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go full-fledged horror. So what I did, I wrote something and shared it with him, and he really loved it. And from there, I decided to move ahead with it. And I said, the influence of horror over the years, has really pulled me towards that. So, yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to jump back to Rick a little bit. So we spoke about casting for Nefarious, but I noticed from the agency, we see a bit more familiar faces. There's Camille Davis in there and some other faces that we've seen before. How was casting the agency for you?
Well, as you say, there are some recognized faces in there, and seem to automatically fit into their particular roles. The main thing about it is that I wanted to go for the best, of young talent and some of the slightly older talent. It was crucially important because of where we're aiming for in this show. You know, we've got to go right to the top. So we needed the there's a new crop, fantastic. Kenzie, Kadeem Wilson, Chantal, you know, Camille Davis, extraordinary. Titus and Hughes, everybody, and Ronaldo, newcomer. You know, everybody came in and gave their best. You know, and I was really happy with the performances. We had limited time. We weren't able to do many takes, as many as one would normally do. But what we did it in rehearsals. It's always crucial to do it in rehearsals. Once they're working together, you know, in a little environment that matches what they will be in when they're on set.
Right. Awesome. And so some feedback for you here, Rick. Someone said they're happy to see that the issue of women artists and the sexual harassment they face in the music industry was highlighted in The Agency. And so they're looking forward to the TV show.
Yeah, well, important. You know, we really want to deal with different issues that come into the entertainment business, especially, you know, in the current climate, you know, with Me Too and BLM and stuff like that. And I think that, you know, dealing with those real issues in dramatic sense, you know, is a very powerful tool to use. Great messages that can come across.
Awesome. Great work. I'm going to jump back over to Rhett. Rhett, so you have quite a bit of credits on your film. You're writer, director, you're doing it all, right? And as I was reading your intro and your bio, nothing in there has anything to do with filmmaking. So I want you to tell us how you got to filmmaking and what were some of the challenges bringing this film to life.
This is how I got here. All right.
Oh my God.
All right, but seriously, you know, I've always wanted to do film. I was afraid of becoming a starving artist. I followed the route of traditional academics. You know, sometimes when you do something and you do it well, people think that's what you really want to do. And, you know, for years I've been doing that and going to school. You go to school, you go to perform, right? And so I followed a particular professional trajectory, but my real passion was always film. And I decided one day, you know, why sit and dream about it? Just do it, you know? So I wrote my first script in 2003. That almost got published. It's another horror, of course. But but then, you know, even though, you know, having gone through all those academic things, sometimes I'm in class and I'm dreaming about being behind the camera. And if that's what, you know, I really want to do, I said, to hell with everything else. You know, well, not totally, but you know, go after it. You know, try. And you know that trying has brought me here now. So that's really the answer for that.
Amazing. And have you had any professional training at all, or it's just all raw talent that we're seeing here?
Well, through the University of Google and YouTube.
No. Good school.
No professional training. I did, however, do a 2-day crash course, maybe about back in 2003 at Caramac at UWI. You know, just a brief course, and did make a short there. After that, I remember JamPro putting on a screenwriting workshop one weekend during that same time, and I had attended it. So most of those things really served, you know, as something to really empower me and you know, push me forward. And I'll just quickly say, as I said to Rick offline, that I met Rick when he did One Love back in 2003. And I saw him in a video store in Ligadi, and I said to him, you know, I went over to him and I said, hi, I said, I really love your movie, and I hope to make one day, you know. And 17 years later, here I am on the same show sitting with him. So thanks, Rick. You created an influence as well. So,
That's amazing. Because Rick, you said it's been over 25 years, huh?
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people in Jamaica, and I'm glad to reacquaint myself with Rhett.
Nice.
great.
And it's great to have you both. So I'm still, dissecting what I just saw. And I want to know because there's a lot of pieces of Jamaican folklore in there and a bit of what people might have been going through in reality, mixed in with whatever fiction there might be in there. So what would you want us to be thinking about? What's the takeaway from this film as we leave now and try to sleep? What are the thoughts that you're hoping that's going through the audience's mind in this moment?
Well, try not to be easily influenced. Not everything that glitters is gold, as Mark discovers, but really what's going on in Nefarious, the horror and all that could be considered a facade for certain deep realities in Jamaica in terms of, the way people live across the social stratification. I mean, Jamaica to someone else outside may not even really realize that Jamaica has multiple levels depending on where you live and who you are and the experiences that you have. And so if I had made a drama, it might have been more horrific because then, there would be no ghosts there or anything like that, So, it actually lightens the mood. So the combination of stuff that I used in it, again, from stories that my mother told me and then local things that I know about, the revivalists and stuff like that. I've seen those things, so I wanted to embody, real authentic Jamaican culture in it, which is why I chose to use real street language. So for those of you who do not like the profanities, my apologies. However, I wanted to keep it as authentic as possible. I wanted the characters to sound how they would sound on the street, that someone else can relate to it. Because if you're going to be influenced, nobody's coming to you speaking the Queen's English unless you're in a particular surrounding. So I went with it that way, albeit suffering with subtitles, but I just wanted to keep it that way, and that's the result.
Well, the feedback saying that it was great. And so I think you did an excellent job in all your roles, not just writer, but in all the roles.
Well, some of those things I had to learn overnight. I mean, it's very expensive trying to make a movie, so I had to do a lot of the things myself. Had to learn how to do sound mixing. I created a DCP for cinema projection. Had to learn how to do coloring, editing, makeup effects. So but what drives all that is really passion. Once you're bent on getting something done, I say, look, I can't afford to go and pay a DP and all these things, so I did my research on the type of cameras I needed, the kind of lens, and learned a lot about the things as I go along. And after the movie was finished, I was editing that movie at night while I was in school. So, again, it comes back to passion, passion.
Yeah, that's amazing. Rick, have you faced any of the same challenges in terms of getting stuff done and kind of having to learn as you go, or do you have more support being in the business for so long?
Well, at the beginning, it was very much DIY, in the same way that Rhett did. I mean, I did have the benefit of going to an art college, film school, and then went right straight into the UK commercial industry, which is quite high. But when I decided to start directing, it was very do-it-yourself and low rent. In those days, I mean, I started out with a Super 8 camera. This is before video and DV and all this stuff. So I mean, you had to be extremely inventive. And the same thing, using your friends and people around, to play roles in things. It's crucial, and it's a way of building. I must compliment that on what he's done there. And talking about raw talent, yes, it is there. It's all everywhere. And if you can let's say, bring in that raw talent and mold it. Like back in the days, back in Dancehall Queen, the whole concept of Dancehall Queen was it was a very, very low rent movie. And, you know, most of the characters were really themselves. That's what they did. If there was a Hitler who was in the a scene and had to say something, that's who was in the scene. They weren't replaced by somebody else. You have them doing what they really do, and that's really a lot of what brings authenticity to Jamaican Caribbean cinema, I believe. And Rett's done a great job of that. I didn't go really so much for that in this particular case, but you have various characters who have really lived that life. Cornelius Grant, Jolly Creeper, and in the film, and as well as others. So it's that kind of mix of growing talent and street, that brought it out. I didn't, in this particular case, I didn't go for street language. I went for a language that would be fine, I believe, apart from a few specific moments for all the catch potatoes in Middle America. The dancing was very different. It was street language, but this is going somewhere else, and you have to adapt every time to play that game.
Awesome. So this is a two-way question. So I'm gonna ask it, and I'm gonna have Rick answer, and then I have Rhett answer, because we have two different takes on how to present our stories. And so, like we mentioned before, Rick, that you're telling a story, but you're also addressing some issues that are there that tend to be overlooked. And so, how do you think this story brings forward some of the issues that people are afraid to tackle in filmmaking? Because you said it's the authenticity of it. And so how much of it is editing it out, or how much of it is just raw and making sure that we address those issues that people are afraid to bring forward?
Well, I think the whole idea of a strong and powerful woman in the Jamaican, typically misogynist Jamaican music industry, is very important. I think it's kind of like switches roles and changes things over. And I think that using real life stories and events as themes for different episodes also challenges. So we bring those ideas in, we explore them, and through Ellen Thompson, Neil Davis, that is, we see them through, to the end, and give an insight onto what's really going on.
Right. Rhett, some feedback coming in here saying, great job. Not a fan of evil spirits, but I like the production and highlighting the Obia that actually exists in Jamaica. Now, piggybacking on that, how do you feel that this production is bringing something new to the story of Jamaica? Because a lot of the stories coming out of Jamaica tend to follow a certain line. So how do you think that this is bringing something new to the table?
Well, again, going with the genre of horror, I hope, to show other persons that it can be done, and how they can integrate their ideas and make it actually work. Along the line of voodoo, well, I'm not an obvious specialist, but of course. and seeing some things, and what
Wow.
people believed in, So it is not for me to knock them in their beliefs. Likewise, in Jamaica, it's not for me to knock somebody for what they believe. As long as you're not trying to hurt someone else. Um, whatever swims your boat, So,
All right.
but yeah, I'm happy to work with and explore anything in the Jamaican culture, and
And say that horror is your favorite genre of film.
it is to an extent, but as I said, I do enjoy various genres. I'm a fan of Hong Kong movies. I was addicted to that growing up, watching the old Shaw Brothers movies, and I learned a lot from that. And what I also learned from that is back in those days, Hong Kong films were primarily kung fu movies, and that's what people knew them for. But no, you look at the quality and the caliber of movies coming out of South Korea, coming out of Hong Kong, they are top notch and, comparable. They have changed the way people fight in movies in contemporary film. And,
Sure.
the point I'm trying to make actually is that for persons thinking that, all the films coming out of Jamaica is showing ghetto and, and all that sort of thing. Let it be told, because that's the story that people know. And until it evolves, then people will demand something different. You tell the story that you know. And then, as it grows, you start finding other things. And there can be very beautiful stories in the ghetto, right? I have friends who graduated out of well, let me not say graduated, but lived in some of the most difficult communities in Kingston. And I can tell you, one of them went to Russia to study engineering on a scholarship, another to Trinidad, another to the US. I mean, these guys really came out well, and they lived under the gun, and I'm telling you that. So, there are many stories to tell, but those stories are going to be told with an ugly side to it, and we just have to accept it and say, well, this is what it is. Fess up to it, and after a while, you may not see them.
Yeah. So speaking of stories from the ghetto, and Rick, I haven't forgotten you. I'm coming right back. But speaking of stories from the ghetto, what would you say to those persons who think that us constantly telling, or filmmakers constantly telling a story of the ghetto, is perpetuating, the assumptions about Jamaica and it being just such a difficult place to live and possibly even too dangerous to just visit?
Well, I'll answer that in two ways. For one, as I mentioned earlier on, that people tell the stories that they know. But what surprises me is that when persons raise that particular type of question, and I'm not saying you because I've heard it before, what I look at is, why is it that the lines at the embassies are so long? I mean, if North America was so vicious with all the serial killers and murderers and all these things that we watch and digest, then why is anybody going there? The fact is, a person's looking on. Also understand that a movie is a movie. It does not mean that's reality of what's going on. If I was telling a documentary, then the angle, could really imply something. But as I said, the industry has to evolve. Persons have to start telling the stories that they know. And sadly, a lot of Jamaicans live in some of these conditions. And if that's, and when I say tell the stories that they know, it doesn't have to be film. It can be a book. There are many different ways you can tell your story, right? But if this is the medium that you choose, know that what you're telling, has to be authentic.
Amazing. And so a final comment coming in was that they're impressed with what they've seen from both of you guys, and they're looking forward to more from you, Rhett, and what's to come from the agency, Rick. And so we just want to thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk back with us a little bit, to kind of just dissect and figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so it was lovely talking to you, lovely meeting you guys, and I enjoyed both of these productions immensely, and so did our audience. And so let's just jump over and see what's going on next with the Caribbean Tales Film Festival.
Thank you.
Coolie is now embraced by some as a badge of empowerment.
Queer, Indo-Caribbean in Canada is almost speaking about an impossibility.
I made Queer Coolitudes to create a visible presence for the histories and lives of queer, Black, brown, and mixed race folks in Canada. People should watch Queer Coolitudes to be educated about the queer Caribbean diasporas and its multifaceted existence in Canada. Queer Coolitudes is also a work of art.
I see being bisexual as being the biracial of the LGBT community.
It's been challenging to see a queer Canada that is not white.
Talk the things! What a great talk back. Rhett, you have truly accomplished a feat with this film. I am sure the audiences will be looking for part 2. It was sweet. Thank you everyone for staying. Such great films to see and another great night here at CTFF. We hope you enjoyed Boomflick Jamaica Night. Please continue to stay and enjoy the rest of the festival. Tickets are still available for all of the screening nights. Next up, we have Love Regardless on September 23rd. For tickets and passes, check out our website, www.caribbeantalesfestival.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Caribbean Tales. Tell all of your friends. And remember, Caribbean Tales is a charity, so please donate. And for more details, visit CaribbeanTales.org. Lots, it was nice. It was amazing. It has been a pleasure to be here. See you again soon.